Let's bring in Senator James Risch. He's the Idaho Republican. He's a key member of both the Intelligence and Foreign Relations Committee. Senator Risch, thanks very much for joining us. Let's talk about what's going on. Authorities now say, 120, maybe 180 terror suspects could be out there right now, could be ready to strike in Europe. What are you hearing about the disruption of these so-called sleeper cells? How extensive is this, what's going on right now?
Well, Wolf, I think, first of all, your reporters have been doing an excellent job of painting a clear picture of how different Europe and the United States are when it comes to the Muslim populations. The Muslims who have immigrated to the United States have done like many other nationalities and are integrating into the population to a large extent. In Europe, that's not the case at all. They have large slums where these people are congregated, and they continue on with the cultural background that they've had, and the result of that is many of them are susceptible to these people who preach violence and preach this religious fervor that they need to do these things against other religious people, and you wind up with the situation that we've got.
So you're suggesting the threat is greater in Europe than it is in the United States? Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, I think that's a fair statement. That does, but don't get me wrong. There is a threat here, but we have, as you know, and you and I have talked about many times, we have a very robust intelligence operation here in the United States, and we are able to keep a handle on this. We've been lucky in some circumstances, but as you know, we have to be right 100% of the time. They only have to be right once.
As far as you know, Senator, are there sleeper cells here in the United States as there clearly are in Europe?
Well, you know, a lot of this stuff is classified, Wolf, but I don't think it takes a lot of imagination to conjure up the fact that the United States is the preferred target. And if they can get people here, they will get people here. I don't think it's a stretch either to understand that our intelligence agencies are closely monitoring anyone that they feel is a threat.
But do you have confidence that any American, for example, who may have gone over to Syria, got connected with ISIS, did training over there, then left Syria, went back to Turkey, and flew back here to the United States, that the U.S. government knows who these people are?
There's no doubt that we know who the vast majority of them are. If your question is it 100%? Is there a guarantee of 100% accuracy? I couldn't sit here and say that. But people who have engaged in this type of conduct, that's what intelligence operations are for. And we spend a lot of money doing this, and I think Americans would be very proud of the work that the intelligence community does in that regard.
Is U.S. surveillance adequate right now here at home, or is there stuff that needs to be done to improve it?
Well, if you can always do more. And of course, if something happens to slip through, there'll be a lot of criticism. But I have to tell you that I spend a good share of both Tuesdays and Thursdays every week on these issues, and our job on the Intelligence Committee is oversight. Number one, to see that they're doing their job, and number two, to see that they're not infringing on Americans' constitutional rights. I feel good about where we are, and I think the bipartisan committee, I think, generally feels the same way.
Well, that's encouraging to hear that, Senator. I want you to stand by because we have more to discuss. We're following the breaking news out of Belgium, out of France, out of Europe. These sweeps underway right now. They're looking for these so-called sleeper cells. Much more right after this. Bring back Senator Risch right now. He's a member of the Intelligence Committee. I assume, Senator, what we just heard from Paul is pretty consistent with what you've been hearing.
Well, this is not a surprise to really anyone. ISIS has been threatening this ever since they exploded not long ago. They've been threatening to bring the war to the West. And so what you're hearing is certainly not a surprise to any of us that deal with this every day. I suppose people who don't follow it, it probably is a surprise. But a couple of points I would make. Number one, when you talk about these cells, you want to be real careful. That connotes a close-knit, highly commanded organization. These things are very loose-knit, and they are They're very malleable and they change easily. And after the roundup, even if they said they had everybody, I would be reluctant to reach that conclusion because these things are very amorphous.
So your sense, Senator, this is ISIS, not AQAP, Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. This is ISIS.
Well, clearly there is an ISIS element to this. I mean, they have said so, and they have said from the beginning that they were trying to establish the country, their own country, and they said as soon as they were done with that, they were going to move out from that to do the will that they want to do outside, and particularly in the West. And so these things are not surprising. The other thing is the other point I would make is that this goes on somewhere in the world every single day, not once, but multiple times. The fact that it happened in this high-profile situation in France has brought it to the attention of the national media, as you're running the story now, and other media units are running the story. But this goes on every day and somewhere in the world.
One final question. The president today had very strong words for Congress, saying he'll veto any legislation that would right now increase sanctions on Iran as the U.S. is trying to work out some sort of diplomatic deal with Iran to prevent Iran from building a nuclear bomb. Your reaction to the president's veto threat?
Well, I think we'll give him that opportunity, Wolf. As you know, a lot of us have been very critical of the way the administration has gone on about this. It's a dangerous situation, and I think more sanctions are in order, and I think that anything that's put on the table needs to be approved by Congress.
It'll be approved by, presumably it'll be approved by Congress, but in the midst of these negotiations, are you going to vote to go ahead and at least warn Iran that there'll be more sanctions if there's no deal?
Well, I think that'll make it crystal clear to Iran that they're going to have to be serious about this, and there's a lot of us that don't believe that they're serious about this. And certainly this is one way that we can communicate to them that we're going to do something about this.
Senator Risch, thanks very much for joining us.